Hello students, Standard 12th, Chapter 6, Object-Oriented Concept. The most important chapter to begin with any programming language, any object-oriented programming language. So next chapters we will be learning Java language, and this chapter can be the base for the rest of the chapters to learn Java programming language. So we need to understand what is object-oriented concept. Object-oriented programming concept started in 1960s, and since mid 1980s it has become the main programming method used to creation of new software. So the concept of object-oriented programming is not new. The concept of object-oriented programming started in 1960 and it came in practice in 1980s. It was developed to handle the rapidly increasing size and complexity of software system and to make it easier to modify this large and complex system over time. So the main reason why we need object-oriented programming is because slowly hardware were upgrading. Previously there were only monochrome monitors, then black and white monitors, then there were color monitors, now LED, LCD, all these different monitors and hardware are upgrading. So the programming also becomes very complex because now graphics also plays very important role in every software development. So to handle such complexity of the program or software, we needed a programming language which can handle all this easily. And so we need object-oriented programming. For example, C++, Java, VBNet, ASP.NET, PHP, all these are some of the examples of object-oriented programming. Now, programming categories. Basically, programming categories are divided into two parts. One category that is structured programming, or it is also known as procedural programming, and another, the second category, is object-oriented. Structured programming, the focus is on writing functions or procedure, both are same. Either you call it function or you call it procedures, which operates on data. Example for student registration, books issue, book return, etc. for library application. So in structured or procedural programming, we write methods, that is functions or procedures, and some variables, but they are not written within any unit. They are just written simply as we write one by one after other. So they are not protected. Any other part of the program can see it, can modify it, can alter it. In object-oriented programming, the focus is on object. We create objects, different objects, and then we do programming on that object. So object that contains data as well as functionality, that is procedures and variables. For example, association between objects like student and students returning the book. So in object-oriented programming, the data, that is variables and functions, are again closed or kept inside inside a unit, and that is called class, so that they cannot be intentionally or accidentally be modified or altered or deleted by other part of the program. So there is a safety in object-oriented programming. What are the advantages of object-oriented programming? So the advantages of object-oriented programming language enables the programmer to create modular, reusable, and extendable programming code. These three words are very important. Modular. You write program in small module and then bring it together and make a big software or application. Reusability is something like you have written one code and you want the same code to be used by other object. So that is possible. You can reuse the same code at other place also. Extendability. Extendability means if you have written some code and now you want to write another code where that previous code, you enter that previous code you want in the new code and you want to add something new. So that is called extendability. That is also possible in object-oriented programming. So because of these three, modularity, reusability, and extendability, programming language category of object-oriented programming is very popular. Programmer can formulate program by composition and modification of existing modules. It is allowed to even modify or even combine existing modules which are created. Flexibility is gained by being able to change or replace modules without disturbing other part of the code. So because you write small modules and you make changes in one module without disturbing the rest of the program. So that is also another advantage of object-oriented programming. Software development speed is gained by reusing and enhancing the existing code. So that is reusability and extendability. Object-oriented programming uses object as its fundamental building block. So in object-oriented programming, at the center of the programming is always an object and we write program around that object. Similar objects are classified using a concept of class. Now when there are similar objects of more than one objects of similar type, then that is classified as concept of the class, and we will see what is class and how they are related with object. A computer language is called object-oriented programming language if they support abstraction, encapsulation, polymorphism, and inheritance. So if any programming language supports these four properties, then that programming language is considered as object-oriented programming. Now we will learn in detail what is abstraction, encapsulation, polymorphism, and inheritance. But before that, we need to understand what is object and what is a class. In real world, objects are the entities of which the world is comprised of. And there can be two types of object. Concrete object like car, table, physical, which we can see, touch and feel. And second is abstract objects like date, birth date or time or something like this, which we can only feel, we cannot touch or see that. So two types of object, concrete object and abstract objects. All objects have unique identity. Every object in this world will have unique identity. For example, person may have identity like name, gender, profession, date of birth and such other characteristics which are known as properties or attributes. So like for simple example, we all are human being, or for example XYZ 12th standard class, there are 50 students. So all are students, but how all these 50 students differ from each other? So they differ from each other by either their name or surname or father name or gender or profession or date of birth. There has to be some property or attribute of every student which is unique. So that is how we identify every object which are in, or otherwise they are similar in nature. We use values of these attributes to distinguish them, and these values are called state of the object. So what are the state of the object? For example, I have 3 students. Let us consider these 3 students as objects of student class. So student 1, student 2 and student 3. Now all these 3 students has one common property or attribute, that is name of the student. So student 1 name is Vishal, student 2 name is Manish, student 3 name is Krutarth. So all these 3 students are having different name, and that is called state of the object. So state of the object is something which helps us in identifying every object individually. There are some behaviors also associated with object. As there are some properties associated with object, there are some behaviors also associated with objects. For example, person takes birth, gets name, changes location. All these are something which are called behavior of the object. The behavior in programming language is known as either function or method. So now we have, for every object we have two things. Object will have some properties, which is also known as attribute, and object will have some method, which is also known as function. State of the object can change due to its behavior. So due to its behavior, state of the object changes. For example, let us understand this with an example. Student 1, his address is, let's say, city is Rajkot. Now he is shifting to Ahmedabad. So the name of the city in his object class will change to Ahmedabad. So what happened is behavior, the change of city is a behavior. So because there was change in behavior, the state of the object changed. The value of the object changed. So thus any real world object can be described in terms of what it is called, that is its identity, what it is, that is its state, and what it does, that is its behavior. So class, when we talk about object, then object will have three things: what it is called, that is name of the object; what it is, that is its attribute or its values of the object; and what it does, that is behavior, that is functionality of that object. In object oriented programming, attributes that describe the object are also referred to as data fields. So we can call that attributes also, we can call it data fields also. The data attributes and behavioral methods associated with an object are collectively referred to as its members or features. So now attributes and methods of any particular object, together it is known as members or features. So remember all these terminologies. Once again, object. An object can have name of the object. Object will have some some state, that is its attributes, and it will have some behavior. State and behavior together of any object or collectively it is referred as members or features. Now we need to understand what is a class. A class is a template for multiple objects with similar features. Actually, this single sentence explains everything about what is a class and what is an object, or the relationship between both of them. Once again, a class is a template. A class itself is of no use. It's just a template for creating multiple objects with similar features. Let's take an example. A class is like my notes about computer. So that's a class. Now I give it to students and student takes the photocopy of that notes. So all those photocopies are known as object. So class and object. I have my notes in pen drive. That is something like a class. When student takes the printout and distribute it among them, that becomes objects. And you know that all the objects will be same, and it would be depicting the class. So class is a template for multiple objects but with similar features. Now how these photocopies, when I distribute these photocopies among 10 students, how these photocopies will differ from each other? They will differ from each other by the state of the object. Means first student may write his name on the first page. Second student may cover it with a brown paper. Third student may stick a sticker on the first page, and something like this to make it unique and identified among the students. So that is called the state of the object. But remember, from one class, we can create as many objects which we want, but all those objects must be same. They are same. They will be same. You cannot create different objects from one class, because class is a template, and from that template only we are creating different objects. So all those objects will be same, only differing in its value of attributes. So for example, a class named person is describing common attributes and behavior of a person. Now individual person are then objects, and they are identified by the state. That is, first person name would be Ramesh, second person name would be Maitri, third person name would be Abdullah, and like this. So that is the value of their attributes will be different. A class diagram. Now what is class diagram? A class diagram represents a collection of classes, constraints, and relation among different classes. UML, that is Unified Modeling Language, can be used to create models of objects-oriented software. Remember, UML is not a programming language which we do in computer. It's something like which we do on paper. To describe object-oriented programming concept on paper, we use UML. If you are familiar with flowchart, then flowchart is used to describe structured programming on paper, whereas UML is used to describe object-oriented programming concept on paper. So that from that paper where we have described using UML, if I want to develop software using Java language, I will convert that UML into Java language. If somebody else want C++, will do in C++ and so on. So that is something like a common diagram which we prepare on paper from which every programmer can do their work. So in class diagram, how class diagram is described? A class is represented with an icon using a rectangle split into three parts, and these three sections are known as class name, attributes and behavior. So this is the class diagram. The name of the class is person. There are 5 attributes: name, city, gender, birth date, profession. And there are 3 behavior: set birth date, change city and display. What is written in this should be written on paper because this is a class diagram as per UML, Unified Modeling Language. This is the class diagram. From this, if I am using Java, I will convert in Java code. If somebody is using C++, we'll convert this into C++ code and so on. UML notation. Now, how again on paper, how I will describe attributes using UML. So to describe attributes on paper, we use visibility of the attribute, name of the attribute, what type of data it is, and its initial value. But as you see, the things which are written in square bracket are totally optional. So there is only one compulsory thing, mandatory thing, and that is the name of the attribute. So as you would have seen in the previous slide, city, string, name, string. So name is the attribute, city is the attribute, and string is the data type. String is the data type, which is again optional. If you don't want to mention, you can avoid it. Is equal to initial value. So you see there is one attribute, gender, where we have written initial value. Gender, data type is character and initial value is M. And visibility, there is again one example with visibility. Birth date, if you see minus sign before birth date, that indicates the visibility. We'll discuss now visibility. Visibility can be private, indicated by minus sign, protected, indicated by hash symbol, public, indicated by plus sign, or it can be package, that is indicated by tilde sign. We will discuss visibility in detail in next slide. Attributes generally refer to a variable. Attributes are nothing but variable, and data type and initial value identify the type of data stored and its value at the start of the program. So data type and initial value. Suppose the data type is character, that indicates that here in this variable you can store only single character. So that is what identified by the data type. As you can see here again, once again, gender, character is equal to M. So data type is character and initial value is M. So these are the notation for attributes. Similarly, we have notation for methods. You know that every class or object is made up of two things mainly. The name of the object is there, of course, but the rest of the two things are attributes and methods. So what are the notation for method? So for notation of the method, the syntax is again almost the same. Visibility, name of the method, list of the parameters, and return data type. So items again here also square bracket, whatever is there in square bracket is optional. So what two things are compulsory here is method name and return data type. Again visibility is this. Let us first very quickly see the example of a method. Set birth date is the name of the method. Into bracket d integer, m integer, y integer, list of parameters. There are 3 parameters. And last, date is a return data type. It means when this method will get executed, set birth date method gets executed, output would be of type date. Similarly, change city is the name of method. New city string is a parameter. There can be 0 parameter, there can be as many parameters you need to work with that method. And string is the return data type. Display there is no return type. Now as I said, return type is compulsory, but when you write programming it is compulsory. So you need to, if there is no return type, you should write void. void, void means this method is not returning any value. So display method is unique here. It is not using any parameter, nor it is returning any value. So that is method notation in UML. Now let us understand visibility. There are 4 visibility. Private, we will put it in an order, like I'll start with public, then second I will take is package, third is protected, and fourth I'll take is private, so that you will understand it clearly. See, when I define any method or attribute as public, means that method or variable is available everywhere in the program, even outside the program. So any other program also can use that. It's something like a public place in your city. If there is a garden, public garden, it is open for everybody. There is no discrimination that who can go there and sit. Anybody from the world can come there and sit in that garden. So because it is a public. So when you fill your data, that is variable or method, you want to make it available for everybody, make it public. Second is package, indicated by tilde symbol. Package is available to limited part of the program, or limited programs rather, limited programs, group of programs. So it's something like a garden in a closed society. Suppose there is XYZ society with 10 towers in it, and there is a big garden and swimming pool and gymnasium. So it is available to all those who are residing in that society. So there may be 500 flat or 500 owners. It is open to all those 500 owners, but not to outsider. So that is package. Protected is something which belongs to the class where it is defined and its inherited class. So it's something like your dad is scooter or vehicle, any vehicle. Your dad's vehicle is something we call it protected. Because it is the property of your dad, but with his permission you can use it. So that is protected. It is only allowed to be given to the inherited one with permission. And when we say private, is purely private, not available to anybody, not even to the inherited one. So you see the visibility decreases, narrows down. Public is the widest visibility and private is the narrowest visibility. So this 4 visibility modifiers can be used in programming to make your program more meaningful. Okay, there is one sentence about parameter. Parameter can be specified with data types and optional default values separated by colon, and multiple parameters are separated by comma. As you see here, multiple parameters in the first example, set birth date is separated by comma. So that is UML notification for attributes and method. Next lecture we will move further and we will see the 4 most important part of any object-oriented programming, and that is encapsulation, abstraction, polymorphism, aggregation, inheritance, and some other. Thank you for watching this. Remember this is the one of the most important chapter if you are planning to learn any programming language. If you are trying to start learning programming language and object-oriented programming language, then all this concept remains the same, whether it is C++ or Java or any other object-oriented programming. So carefully understand this topic and be prepared for the next lesson. Thank you very much.